Good morning or good afternoon if you're watching this as a recorded version. Obviously, this will be sent out to all of our subscribers at the this afternoon at some point. My name's Dave. Just going through our latest update. As you know, we are always working on our software to make it even more usable, even more functional, to ensure that everyone gets the best result and the best aspects to online offer management. So what we have done is, occasionally during the sales and, running hundreds of sales a month now, we had found in certain circumstances, if there was a negotiation afterwards or if someone had texted you through an offer, the process of going back to that buyer and getting them to submit the offer, sometimes the agent just needed to make changes. Sometimes the agent just needed to make that offer on behalf of the buyer. And sometimes it happened while they were at work and weren't able to log in, or, they'd lost internet connection for a certain period of time, or, it was just easier to submit that offer on behalf of the buyer. The other times that we found that we needed this functionality was if someone had said that they wanted to place an offer, but they didn't really want to be involved in a competitive bidding situation. They just wanted to submit their best price. And we needed to have that consistency between what was showing online to all the other buyers, and obviously what was happening in real life. So we provided the opportunity, or built the opportunity, for agents to be able to submit an offer on behalf of a buyer. And how it works, as you can see, we've got an offer in here at 500,000. I've registered a second buyer who hasn't made an offer yet. And if they then decided just to fax you an offer, or email you an offer, fax, what are we, 2001, email you an offer and send that through in a more traditional sense, but you wanted that offer to show on site so that it was consistent with what was happening within the sales process, and you could keep that clarity between what was happening online and what was happening offline. You needed that ability to be able to do that. So what we've done is built this proxy offer situation. Now, obviously, we've got compliance issues to deal with in regards to proxy offers as well. We need to make it really clear that that was an offer that was being submitted by the agent. One of the things that has held us in really good stead, particularly with government departments around the country, is the fact that we are very, very transparent with what we do. And anytime we put functionality that puts more control in the hands of the agent, which is great for you guys as the agent, but we need to be really clear about how that is represented on site so that we're not in a position where we can ever be accused of misleading buyers or, misleading consumers. And that's really important from our perspective. As I said, whether it's in Western Australia or Queensland or New South Wales or Victoria, we have a really, really good relationship with the government departments, with the compliance teams, with the institutes. So, it is important that we have that consistency and that ability to be able to say that we are being very transparent in what we do. So we've got a situation here where we can just add a proxy offer. We can hit a drop-down list. We can choose an offsite buyer. And as I say, that's where someone hasn't wanted to participate in the online process, but it's important that you make their offer available online, so that there is that consistency again between what you're seeing on the page or what other buyers are seeing on the page, what your owners are seeing on that page, and make sure that all the offers are remaining in that one place. So you can choose an offsite buyer. You can create a new participant. So again, someone comes out of the blue in the last minute, you can create a participant for them and submit that offer on their behalf. In this particular case, we're going to submit an offer for buyer 2. So basically, we just put in their offer, and it might have been provided to us by an SMS or an email or a phone call or whatever the case may be. And we can hit OK. Now, what that does is it shows up with a little icon, and it says the offer was made by the listing agent on behalf of the buyer. And again, that really comes back to our need, our core function to make sure that we provide that across the board transparency, and we're not in the game or in the business of misleading anyone, whether it be buyers and consumers. And we can submit that offer. Again, we can submit an offsite buyer. So if a buyer has just faxed their offer, they're not really interested in logging in and doing it themselves. They might not be in the area where they've got really good internet service. There's a number of reasons why that might happen. So we might just call them Billy Buyer for the sake of the process today. And we can put in their offer of whatever that may be. we can obviously change their conditions, and we can put in whatever conditions are relevant to the offer that they've submitted to us, and we can submit that offer again. The third thing that we can do is create a brand new participant. So we can create a participant. We put in their email address. Obviously, it will provide them with their own login, so it will be emailed out to them. But rather than them going in and registering themselves, we can register it on their behalf. We'll call this one John Buyer, just because I can't think of a better name. It's pretty early in Melbourne at the moment. So put in their phone number, put in their offer amount, choose their conditions again on their behalf. So again, that would generally be something that is probably being emailed or texted to us or via a phone call, and hit OK. So we can, and obviously we're not expecting, this is just for the purposes of doing a demonstration for you, we're certainly not expecting to see all of the offers submitted. I had a live example of this last night where there was, backwards and forwards that was going between myself and a buyer, and they had submitted an offer, and it was at 790. We'd counted at 815. They had made an offer at 800. We'd counted again at 810. He'd rang me while he was driving to work and said, well, obviously he couldn't play around on his phone while he was driving at work. Could I submit an offer for him at 803? So I submitted that offer for him at 803. Again, we went back at 810. The owners on this particular one were fairly firm on the price. He again rang me while he was still driving. You see, there wasn't a great deal of difference. So he rang me straight back and said, do it at 805. Let's just meet in the middle. I submitted that offer for him at 805. Again, saying that my owners were pretty firm on their price. We went back at 810. And he agreed to that last night at 810. So he logged in and hit the actual accept button to agree to it at 810. So that's a real life situation where using the proxy offers was, a really beneficial way for me to get that information on site very, very quickly. It wasn't that he was incapable of submitting that offer himself, but he was, stuck in Melbourne traffic. And for those of you in Melbourne or have been to Melbourne, you'll understand that 9:30 in the morning, trying to battle through from the outer suburbs into the city via traffic is not the most fun process you can ever go through. And I wanted to get that information out to the owners so they could start to consider their position and obviously get back to me with an answer. So I just submitted those offers on his behalf. Now I had text messages. Again, from a compliance point of view, if you're going to submit offers on behalf of the buyer, I think it's really important that you've got some sort of documentation to back you up to ensure that, you're not going to get yourself in trouble with your regulatory bodies. I had text messages from this buyer that was authorizing those offers, or saying that he was prepared to make those offers on this property. And at the final conclusion of the sale, he was the one that accepted it out. So, I think it can be used sparingly. I think it was a function that we absolutely needed, because again, what we're really keen on doing is making sure that during the course of the process that you have the functionality that you need as an agent to make sure that you can do everything you need to do. But you're not ringing up buyers and waiting on them. If I had to wait for him to get to the city, it would have been 45 minutes to an hour. I needed that information to go directly to the owners so they could see what was going on, so they could start their process of having their conversations. I had a text message saying that offer was prepared. He was prepared to make that offer. So I just then submitted those two offers on his behalf. Again, if I had a second buyer and this particular buyer wasn't prepared or didn't want to log in, I could have just either created an account for him or used him as an offsite buyer and then submitted that offer again. So it's about providing that functionality from an agent's perspective, which gives you complete control over the sales process, that allows you to replicate what you're experiencing in real life with your phone calls and your SMSs and your emails, and making sure that what's showing on screen, the information that's been delivered, particularly to your owners, is very much consistent with your experiences. And to be able to do that in a really simple and straightforward manner is quite important. The reason we built it was because there was a need for it. We're running hundreds and hundreds of sales now. And from a consumer point of view, and from our perspective, you're our clients, your vendors and your customers, your buyers are the consumers. So from a consumer point of view, sometimes they just want you to submit that for them, you know, because they're out doing things, juggling, you know, 3 kids as they get them ready for school or doing other things. And again, as long as you've got that backup, that you know, that confirmation via some other form that offer is able to be submitted, then you can very quickly get that information out. Really important in a time-based sale, whether it be an auction or at the end of a sale where you've got a reoccurring timer. If someone runs into some issues and just texts you their offer, I think it's really important to be able to jump in and make that offer on their behalf. So, you know, that becomes a really useful aspect as well. So again, proxy offers are to be used sparingly. They're also to be used very much with a mind of your responsibility to ensure that you are adhering to your compliance regulations. It is up to you to make sure that if they, you know, in your area, if the relevant government authorities or compliance officers ever come knocking on your door and ask to, you know, see an offer history or to see how a sale played out, that you're able to justify your actions, that you're able to make sure that you aren't being accused of being, you know, dishonest or misrepresenting where the sale is or misrepresenting what the sale has done. We're pretty excited about it. As I said, you know, very, very quickly, within a couple of days of release, I found a sale that I was running where I found it quite useful, and something that, you know, was a benefit within that sale. You know, again, I had a sale just the night before where I didn't need to use it at all. You know, that was a highly competitive sale with a lot of interest in it and a lot of buyers and a lot of activity, and, you know, well over where we expected to be as far as the sale price goes. But we had people there who were logged in, ready to go, and there was no need for me to use that function. There was no need for me to be able to engage the proxy system and use that. You know, I think again, if you're using that from a case-by-case basis, you can find it can be quite powerful, and it's to be used again with a very, very clear eye and a very clear understanding that your responsibility as the agent is to ensure that you are complying with your own local rules and regulations, and you know, you don't put yourself in a position where you can be accused of doing something dishonest. It's a great update. It's a fantastic, useful, real life, practical evolution that we've put into Market Buy to ensure that, you know, again, we are at absolutely the forefront of providing innovative technology around managing the offer process. There is not another platform that comes even remotely close to providing the level of functionality that we do, that allows you to have the flexibility to be able to adapt to changing sales situations, and to ensure that at a touch of a button, you can exercise different decisions and make strategic moves within the sale. We're not a method of sale. We encompass all different types of sales. And, you know, just while I'm on that, very quickly, I didn't mean to do this, but, you know, I'll go into a very quick description of this sale. This actually incorporated all 3 methods of sale. So when I first listed it, I was in Queensland meeting with agents, and in my hotel room at 9 o'clock in the morning before I was due to take off for my first meeting, all the photos came through from the photographer. So Friday morning, a couple of weeks ago, I uploaded it. I pushed it to realestate.com and the major portals and my website, obviously. And I set it as just a private treaty. So there was no end date to it. There was no specifics around it. The prices were hidden. So I ran it very much like a very standard run-of-the-mill private treaty. The first open for inspection, we had like 42 groups of people through. Like, the place was overrun with buyers. And that was on the Saturday. Within a couple of hours of the open for inspection finishing, we'd had a couple of offers that were well over our range and well in excess of where the vendors were hoping the property would sell at. We very quickly declared it on the market. And then from that point, I had the discussion with the owner where we set an end date. So we set a 6 p.m. end date on the following Tuesday. We wanted to run another open for inspection to make sure that we had complete coverage of the sale. But at that stage, it was a fixed date sale, a deadline sale, but the prices were still not disclosed to buyers. Over the course of the next few days, we had more offers coming in. I then sent an email late Monday night that said that we were going to disclose the prices at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. And we we're going to turn it into a much more transparent, much more open style of format. I made it really clear across all of our marketing, whether it was on the Market Buy site or whether it was through realestate.com, or through my own website or through any Facebook posting that we're going to run this to 6 o'clock. If there are any offers that were made in the dying minutes of the sale, that an automatic 3-minute timer would kick in, which would allow everyone to have the fair and equal opportunity. So, from 6 o'clock, it essentially turned into an auction. And I think, from that perspective, you look at it and say, well, I've really encompassed all of 3 major types of sales without necessarily having to switch from one to the other. All I did was made some quick changes to the setup to the sale. I just adjusted some of the parameters around how I was working it. And I allowed the sale to evolve, or the sale methodology to evolve as the sale evolved. As I developed interest, as I started getting offers in, as I started to see where the interest lied, I was able then to make the changes to the sale to best reflect where I currently stood at that time. But at no point did I give the game away on the buyer's price, on the owner's prices. I was very strategic in the way I adjusted that sale and the way I evolved it to what we eventually got to. By the time we got to 5:57, so I had a 3-minute timer. So any offers made after 5:57 automatically kicked in my 3-minute resetting timer. So you can see from 5:57 or even from 5:55, they started really hammering at it. So from 5:57, when the timer kicked in, it was at 9:28, and over the next 17 minutes, it went to 9:43. So, that 3-minute timer, people say, well, that does stretch on for hours and hours. Well, people don't have to wait the full 3 minutes. They can make an offer, and then within seconds, they can make a new offer, and within seconds, they can make a new offer. So again, from our perspective, from my perspective, it was making sure that I didn't close it as a hard close at 6, because if that happens, you'll get the buyers who will wait until 15 seconds left to go on the sale. They'll submit their offer, and then you'll get a whole heap of other buyers ringing you up saying, well, I didn't get a chance. Like, it timed out before I had a chance to respond. So that's the premise around the 3-minute timer that kicks in at our end date. I didn't kick the 3-minute timer in as soon as I declared it on the market because it was too early. I still wanted to run another week's worth of marketing. I still wanted to run another open for inspection. I'm really glad I did, because we picked up 6 new buyers on that during the course of the next week. The second open for inspection had 33 people through it, 33 groups of people through it. So I think it was a really worthwhile exercise. But having those really clear instructions out to the buyer, having those really clear parameters around how the sale was going to run and what we were going to do, made it very, very easy for me to be able to manage a large number of people and a large number of buyers. So that was a bit of an aside. That was outside, obviously, our proxy offers, but I thought it was worth noting because that was a very real, very recent example. And I'm able to speak about it because it was my sales. I'm able to speak about it from the experiences and the interactions that I had, not only with the owners, but with the buyers. And I think that's the first time I've really used the full capabilities of Market Buy insofar as I've transitioned it from 3 different types of sales and just progressively moved it along the stick until I got to the point where, I was fully transparent and we were running what was effectively an auction at that point in time. Really interesting method. Found that the feedback from the buyers was just outstanding. We were able to take the buyers and give them a very slow introduction to it. They were able to submit an offer. They didn't necessarily have that offer disclosed. So from their perspective, they had that privacy around just being able to demonstrate that they had some interest in the property. We were able to really clearly say that we're at a price very early on that we were selling. So, we'd said to our buyers that we were selling no matter what, this place was gone. It was just a matter of determining the price now. And then the second step was giving them a really clear date when the sale was going to end and a really clear pathway for them to be able to make their offers. And then the third step was just opening it up as an agent. I'd done my work. I'd introduced the buyers. I'd created the competition. I'd fostered the sense of urgency and the fear of loss. And at that really critical point when they were really all, quite enthusiastic and geared up and ready to go, I was able to take that step back and just let them fight for it. It was interesting that the contracts were signed and finalized by 7 o'clock on this one. So I had all vendors and all purchases signed via DocuSign by 7 o'clock. And I had a notice of receipt at about 7:45 that the full 10% deposit on this sale had been paid into our trust account. So, again, the convenience and the ability to be able to manage a highly competitive sale and to be able to do that in a progressive stepped fashion was something that I found really beneficial. The owners are just over the moon with the result. I had a phone call yesterday from 2 or 3 of the buyers that missed out, that weren't successful. And they were really happy with the process. You know, in previous times when they'd missed out on properties, they'd basically just been told, put your best foot forward. If you miss out, you miss out. They had no real price to aim at. They didn't have any real understanding of whether the 6 buyers the agent was telling them about was true. They didn't know. You know, there was no real clear date as to when it was ending. There was no opportunity to come back and raise their offers. You know, it was a throw a one offer in and hope for the best without any real chance for an agent to come back and say, well, people have paid more. Now, I know some agents do it, but a lot don't. But what I find with this process particularly is it takes away any ambiguity. It just makes it a really clear, straightforward process. So yeah, look, I got a little bit diverted there. Apologies, but I thought that was worth mentioning, and that will go out obviously in a video to everyone today. But back to my core point for doing the video today, the proxy offers. Choose offsite, new, or choose one of your existing buyers, and you can then make sure that offers are being submitted. I will just harp on it again. I don't mean to, you know, flog a dead horse, but I really want to stress that you do need to keep your compliance issues in check. You do need to have some sort of communication that can be verified from the buyer, suggesting that you are able to make that offer on their behalf. If it's someone who doesn't want to participate and you're submitting an offsite buyer, they won't get any email notifications. You'll notice when we're doing an offsite buyer, it doesn't ask for an email address. So you're able just to put that offer in to make sure that what's showing on the screen is consistent with what the actual state of play is with the offers. If you've got any questions around any of this, then by all means, you're always welcome to shoot me a message or an email. And we will email this out to everyone. If you're not getting our emails of our weekly training, they are available we do upload them through our support system. So if you go to marketbuyer.com.au and you go to support, these videos are uploaded every time we create them. So there is a growing database of just information of what we're doing and the new changes that we make. And then obviously, we run our Facebook page where all of our updates go in there. So look, I hope you all have a wonderful day. If you've got any questions at all, feel free to shoot out an email or a message to me. I'm always happy to assist, as most of you know. Happy selling, enjoy your day, and we'll speak to you soon. Thanks, guys.